Hey my friend, welcome back to the Chill Stoic. I'm so glad you're here today. Grab a warm cup of coffee, settle into your favorite spot, because we're about to have a heart-to-heart about something incredibly vital. The quiet, unshakable power that lives inside you. You know, sometimes, doesn't it feel like we're just constantly running, chasing that next win, battling that next challenge, always reacting, always a step behind? And then, out of nowhere, someone twists your words or dismisses your feelings, and you're left there, gut-punched, wondering if you overreacted, if you somehow got it all wrong. I get it. That sting, that doubt, it's real. But here's the thing I want you to truly feel today. That feeling of being caught off guard, of being pulled off balance. It's often not bad luck, it's not a flaw in you, it's often just a subtle game of strategy that most of us, we simply weren't taught how to play. We react too quickly, we speak too soon, we reveal too much, and we lose our footing before we even realize the game has begun. But what if you didn't have to live that way? What if there was a deeper, quieter kind of power that allowed you to navigate the world with unwavering purpose and quiet confidence? A power forged not in manipulation, but in mastering yourself. That's what we're here to talk about. These aren't just theories, my friend. These are principles. Timeless truths, built on the enduring wisdom of Stoicism, that are shockingly, powerfully relevant right now. If you're truly ready to stop being moved by the world and start moving through it with an unshakable inner compass, then stay with me. This conversation, these powerful insights, they're not just going to change how you see power, but how you quietly carry it. 1. Master emotional stillness, your inner citadel. Let's just settle in for a moment, take a deep breath together. Have you ever been in that difficult conversation, maybe at work or with a family member, and you see someone, perhaps even yourself, just unravel? Their voice climbs, their words become a frantic cascade, and in that moment, even if they're shouting, they've just handed over all their power, haven't they? It's like watching their energy just bleed out. In every single room you walk into, every disagreement, every negotiation, the person who controls their emotions controls the outcome. Not because they dominate with noise, but because they remain absolutely unmoved while everyone else is falling apart. True Stoic power begins with a fundamental understanding. Emotions are not facts, they're fleeting sparks, momentary urges. The wise person observes them, acknowledges them, but absolutely does not obey them. Calebian Ceres. My God. Think about the great Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius. He famously said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This isn't just a poetic line for a statue, it's a living strategy for navigating the chaos of modern life. When you allow anger to lead you, when you react to every slight, when you chase every insult with explanations or rage, you become a puppet with too many strings. You're being ruled by others. When you raise your voice in anger, you might feel powerful for a fleeting second, but in truth, you've just revealed your raw vulnerability. You've shown that someone else holds the remote control to your inner state. That's not Stoic mastery, my friend. That's surrender. From a scientific perspective, this makes perfect sense. Our emotions are governed by ancient parts of our brain. When we're emotionally reactive, our amygdala, that primal fight-or-flight center, takes over. It's fast, but it bypasses our prefrontal cortex, the part of our brain that handles rational thought, planning, and impulse control. That's why when you're truly upset, you literally can't think straight. But emotional stillness, that allows your prefrontal cortex to stay online, giving you clarity and control. As Dr. Nicole LePera, the holistic psychologist, often emphasizes, emotional regulation is not suppression. It is the conscious choice to respond rather than react. This isn't about being a robot. It's about being the pilot of your own internal experience. Emotional reactions are incredibly predictable. And here's the unsettling truth. What is predictable is vulnerable. The moment someone knows they can upset you, provoke you, or steer you off course, they essentially own you. They don't even need to defeat you. You'll do it yourself, caught in their trap. Think back to the last time you were pulled into an argument. Maybe someone subtly insulted you, questioned your worth, or mocked your effort, and without a second thought, you lunged back. Did that bring you peace? Did it advance your cause? Usually not. Instead, you were yanked from your strong position and thrown into their emotional frame. You stopped acting from principle and started reacting to sheer provocation. That, my friend, is how most people lose, not in public, but within themselves. The Stoic, however, waits. He watches. He sees an insult not as an attack to be returned, but as a test of his discipline, and anger as a cunning trap. He understands that a well-held silence can reveal more power than any shouting ever could. Imagine standing calm in front of someone trying their absolute best to provoke you. Your pulse remains steady. You say little, maybe offer a slight, almost imperceptible smile. You don't chase their chaos, you simply let them burn themselves out while you remain utterly unshaken. That, my friend, is what true control looks like. Some will tell you that showing every emotion makes you human, that it builds connection, and yes, it absolutely can. If you control when and how to reveal it, but when you let your feelings bleed out every time someone pushes a button, you become utterly readable. And what is readable inevitably is controllable. A person who can be easily read is a person who can be easily played. In a Stoic life, emotional restraint isn't about being cold or uncaring. It's about preserving your sacred center. The world will pull, push, provoke, and challenge. People will insult you, test you, misunderstand you. And every single time, you face a profound choice. Do I respond from impulse or from a place of deep inner discipline? The person who can pause before they speak holds infinitely more power than the one who tries to dominate with sheer volume. Imagine someone insults you in front of a crowd. Everyone expects you to retaliate, to defend yourself, but you stay silent. You look at them calmly. Maybe you nod, a subtle acknowledgement of their words, not their intent. Perhaps you simply walk away. That silence echoes far longer and far deeper than any words ever could. They expected to pull you into their chaotic arena. Instead, they find themselves standing alone in confusion, their energy dissipating into the void you created. This, my friend, is how you shift power without force. You set the frame, and the frame is everything. Using several possible "I can't do this" options, prospect participants can finally shift their focus. If you're always reacting, then someone else is setting the terms. They decide what matters. They decide what gets your attention. But when you hold your emotions in check, when you remain composed in the face of provocation, you define the environment. You determine what's important and what's not. And most importantly, you determine who truly controls the moment. Here's a hard truth. Most people are slaves to emotional reflex. A sarcastic comment makes them instantly defensive. A dismissive tone ignites their anger. A delay in response makes them anxious. They think they're thinking, but really they're just following every emotional current without question, like a leaf on the water. The Stoic, however, doesn't operate this way. He decides what is truly worth his precious energy. He understands that not every fight is worth fighting, and not every opinion is worth hearing. He allows others to reveal themselves through their noise, while he builds formidable power through his stillness. You want to command genuine respect? Then don't explain yourself emotionally. Don't justify your worth through arguments. You're not here to win approval. You're here to stay grounded, in your unshakable values. Even in confrontation, you don't need to engage fire with fire. Let your calm be your message. Let your stillness be your profound statement. Watch as others grow nervous, trying desperately to make you flinch, and then watch them crumble when you simply don't. Think like a general, not a foot soldier. Let others waste their arrows on emotional skirmishes while you meticulously prepare for the longer, decisive campaign. Keep your tone level, your mind focused, your responses few. When you do speak, let it be sharp, deliberate, impossible to ignore. Don't let people bait you into reacting. Let them chase your silence instead. There is truly great power in restraint. It disarms attackers, unsettles critics, and immeasurably strengthens your posture in any room. When you respond only when absolutely necessary and with clear purpose, people don't just hear you, they listen. They may not openly admit it, but deep down they respect it, because everyone instinctively recognizes composure as an undeniable sign of depth and true strength. So the next time someone tries to push your buttons, pause. Ask yourself, is this reaction truly worthy of the person I am striving to become, or is this just another test of my discipline? You don't have to respond to every storm. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is absolutely nothing at all. That's how power works in the Stoic world. It's not loud. It's not theatrical. It's still, deliberate, and utterly immovable. Start with yourself. Hold the line inside. The rest of the world, my friend, will eventually adjust. 2. Let silence lead. The art of unspoken authority. My friend, in a world where everyone rushes to fill every conversational void, where the loudest voice often thinks it's the most important, silence becomes the rarest and, paradoxically, the most powerful signal of strength. People mistakenly equate constant noise with influence, but the Stoic, he knows better. True power isn't measured by the decibels of your voice, but by the undeniable weight of your presence. When you are silent, you are not empty. Oh no, you are intensely listening, meticulously watching, carefully measuring. And while others scramble to prove their worth, to stake their claim, you conserve your precious energy, like a finely honed blade kept sharp and pristine in its sheath, waiting for the precise moment to be revealed. Look around you and you'll see it everywhere. Most people are absolutely terrified of silence. They frantically scramble to fill it, to avoid any discomfort, to escape that unsettling space where things feel uncertain and undefined. But that very uncertainty, my friend, is precisely where you begin to win. When you deliberately stay quiet, others begin to project. They start guessing what on earth you could be thinking. They interpret your stillness in a myriad of ways, as judgment, as profound wisdom, as perhaps even cool indifference. And the more they guess, the more they unwittingly reveal about themselves, not because you demanded it, but simply because they could not bear to sit with the powerful silence you created. This is where the Stoic finds his ultimate leverage. He doesn't interrupt. He doesn't speak simply to chase approval or to vigorously defend his ego. He observes. He lets the incessant noise of others show him exactly what they fear, what they desperately want, what dark secrets they're meticulously trying to hide. And when the precise moment comes to speak, his words strike with undeniable clarity and precision, because they are few, carefully chosen, and utterly deliberate. There's a fascinating anecdote about a Roman general who once sat through an entire council meeting without uttering a single word. His enemies, short-sighted and overconfident, mistook his silence for weakness or perhaps even foolishness. But when he finally broke his silence, his single, perfectly placed sentence ended the entire argument, irrevocably shifted the direction of the military campaign, and instantly won him the fierce loyalty of the entire room. That's not mere storytelling, my friend. That's profound strategy. The Stoic doesn't speak to fill space, he speaks to create impact. And every silence that precedes his words makes those words exponentially more powerful. Silence also serves as a potent test of the soul. Can you sit across from someone and say absolutely nothing while holding their gaze steady? Can you allow the discomfort to build, stretching the tension without frantically rushing in to fix it? Most people simply can't. They'll start rambling, over-explaining, revealing sensitive details they never intended to share. They might even confess or soften their stance or begin to negotiate with themselves just to escape the sheer pressure of that silence. And all you did, my friend, was wait. All you did was hold the line. In a negotiation, the person who speaks least often wins, not because they're hiding something nefarious, but because they are anchoring the conversation. They allow the other person to rush, to reveal their true bottom line, to offer more than they ever needed to. And then, the Stoic speaks with elegant simplicity, cutting straight through to the core truth. That restraint is undeniable power. That discipline is the most potent form of persuasion. Beyond high-pressure moments, silence still works its profound magic. In a business meeting, holding a deliberate pause after a question subtly communicates that you are not desperate to please. In an interview, allowing a moment of quiet signals deep confidence, not confusion or hesitation. And in everyday conversations, a person who speaks less is often valued immeasurably more. Why? Because people instinctively sense that he isn't grasping for approval. He isn't trying too hard to be liked. He doesn't need to prove himself. This is what makes silence sacred. It is a profound reflection of inner sufficiency. When you don't feel the compulsive need to respond to everything, when you don't flinch at every stray comment, people feel it on a subconscious level. They begin to treat you differently. They lean in when you finally speak. They genuinely wait for your opinion. They watch your reactions, and when they get none, they start questioning their own assumptions, their own noise. The Stoics taught that true control always begins within, and silence is one of the purest, most undeniable signs of that inner control. It's not passive, it's not weak. It's a strategic position, a deliberate tactic, a rigorous discipline. He quietly asserts, I know who I am, I know what truly matters, and I don't need to perform for your understanding or approval. And here's the deeper truth. When you're constantly talking, constantly spilling your thoughts, you become ordinary, predictable, and too accessible. But when you choose to speak with intentional restraint, you become rare. And in this world, rarity commands profound respect. Let your voice be something earned, something anticipated, not something spilled carelessly in every direction. Speak as if each word carries a significant cost. Let others come to you. Let them wonder what profound insights you are holding back. Let them work, truly work, for your unique perspective, because what is scarce always becomes valuable. Silence creates powerful contrast. It gives sharp definition to your words, profound meaning to your presence. Without it, your speech often dissolves into mere noise. But with it, even a single, precisely chosen phrase can shift the entire energetic landscape of a room. The goal is not to be mute, my friend. It is to be measured. To understand that timing matters just as much, if not more, than content. And when you finally speak after holding your silence like a finely honed blade, unsheathed at just the right decisive moment, the effect is unforgettable. So, train yourself relentlessly. Learn to be still, deeply still, in a room that desperately craves sound. Let others stumble over their own incessant need to be understood, to be heard. Let them fill the air with their eager pronouncements while you stand firm, unyielding in the profound power of your presence. And when you do choose to speak, make every single word count as if it were chosen in the heat of a decisive battle. This is not just conversation. It is strategy, it is composure, it is undeniable dominance through stillness. Master silence, and you no longer need to convince, you command. 3. Be strategically misunderstood. Your untouchable aura. My friend, there exists a profound kind of strength that never feels the need to announce itself. It doesn't have to. It simply watches in profound silence. It lets others speak their piece, lets others guess at its intentions, and then, quietly, imperceptibly, it controls the entire field from the deep shadows. This is the subtle yet potent art of illogical misdirection. It's a true Stoic weapon of perception and disciplined restraint. It's a poetic demonstration of the opposite of rationality. This isn't about deception in a malicious sense. It's about profound discipline. The discipline to remain utterly unreadable. To hold back just enough of your true self, your true thoughts, your true capabilities, that others feel compelled to fill in the rest of the blanks on their own. And in that vast, empty space, between what they think they know about you and what is truly real, you quietly, definitively take control. Most people walk through life as if they are open books. What they feel is clearly written on their face for all to see. What they deeply believe is broadcast in every casual word, every gesture. Their raw strength, their nagging insecurities, their innermost thoughts, all laid bare, vulnerable. There's an undeniable honesty in that, yes, but there's also profound exposure, blatant predictability. And anything predictable, my friend, can be outmaneuvered, outplayed. The Stoic understands with piercing clarity that true power doesn't always reside in what is overtly shown. It often and powerfully resides in what is meticulously held back. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You need only to remain perfectly composed, deeply centered, while others, in their eagerness, unwittingly reveal themselves. So, let them misjudge you. Let them assume in their limited perception that you are slower, softer, less prepared, less ambitious than you actually are. Let them think you're genuinely disinterested, or perhaps even uninformed. That illusion, my friend, becomes your impenetrable cover. It effortlessly lowers their defenses. They relax, they begin to speak more freely, more unguardedly, and in that false sense of comfort, they inevitably slip. They speak carelessly. They show you exactly who they truly are, with all their flaws and vulnerabilities laid bare. Not because you forced them to, but simply because you masterfully allowed them to believe they were in complete control. Meanwhile, you're quietly, diligently watching, listening intently, remembering every detail, every nuance, and when it matters most, when the stakes are highest, you make your move. There's a timeless Roman wisdom embedded in this, the kind of profound subtlety Marcus Aurelius alluded to when he wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." In other words, do not mirror their aggression. Do not respond in kind. Do not reveal your full hand. Instead, remain utterly still. Let them mistakenly believe the game is entirely theirs to win. And when the perfect moment is precisely right, reveal the razor sharpness they never, ever saw coming. This strategy isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about understanding with profound clarity when and how to show carefully selected parts of yourself and when to keep the rest meticulously concealed. You might deliberately downplay your vast knowledge in a conversation, not out of false humility, but to observe who overstates theirs, revealing their insecurity. You might let someone mistakenly believe they've outsmarted you, just to watch how their escalating overconfidence exposes the critical flaws in their own thinking. You might agree publicly with a superficial point, only to reserve your true, deeper conclusions until you've gathered enough information to act decisively and irrevocably. All of this is masterful misdirection, but done with profound purpose, not malicious deceit. The average person, in their simplicity, plays life in straight lines. What they say is exactly what they mean. What they feel is precisely what they show. But you, my friend, you are not average. You are deliberate. Where others move with frantic haste, you pause. Where they respond with raw emotion, you remain centered, unyielding. You give just enough information to keep them guessing, never enough to be fully known. Because when you are fully known, you are profoundly vulnerable. And when you are misunderstood by your own brilliant design, you are truly untouchable. Think of that quiet, unassuming person in a room full of talkers. He nods, he listens intently. People speak freely, openly around him because he gives absolutely nothing away. They mistake his calm demeanor for passivity or disinterest, but what they fail to see is the meticulous calculation beneath the surface. Every casual word, every subtle gesture, every fleeting glance is noted, stored, precisely measured. And when the time comes, he speaks clearly, concisely, and the entire room turns, mesmerized. Not because he was loud, but because he was profoundly precise, his words cutting through the noise like a laser. Even in moments of direct confrontation, this powerful tactic holds true. When someone pushes you, insults you, tries desperately to provoke a raw reaction, you give them precisely none. Instead of meeting their aggression with resistance, you meet them with a calm nod. Not a nod of agreement, but a subtle nod of profound indifference. That silence, that stillness, it unsettles them deeply. They expect defiance, a fight. Instead, they meet absolute composure. And it's in that disorienting moment that they begin to doubt themselves. That doubt slows them down. That sudden hesitation gives you vital space. And that space, my friend, is all you truly need to maneuver. The best kind of misdirection isn't about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about withholding just enough so people, in their eagerness to fill the void, walk themselves directly into the wrong conclusions. And by the time they realize their error, it's already too late. You've already positioned yourself exactly where you need to be. This isn't manipulation. It's a masterful command of impression. And in a world that feverishly rewards noise and reckless speed, your deliberate restraint becomes your ultimate leverage. The Stoic doesn't overtly display his strength until the critical moment absolutely demands it. He is perfectly willing to be overlooked, underestimated, even outright dismissed by others, because he knows with unshakable certainty that the moment of profound revelation is coming. And when it comes, it strikes infinitely harder because no one, absolutely no one, saw it coming. You don't need to dominate every single conversation. You don't need to frantically chase recognition. You need only to remain patient, purposeful, and perfectly unreadable until it truly, profoundly matters. So, make it your practice to let others reveal themselves. Let them talk, let them assume, let them mistakenly believe they've figured you out. And while they're busy doing that, you quietly watch, you meticulously prepare, you patiently wait. Because the one who seems harmless is rarely guarded against. And when your true, formidable edge is finally revealed, it is 10 times sharper, 10 times more impactful. Let this profound lesson remind you, power is not always about overt presence. Sometimes, it's about a deliberate absence. About what is not said, not shown, not explained. In that profound space, you gain crystal clarity. In that clarity, you gain an undeniable advantage. 4. Turn absence into strength, the power of scarcity. My friend, Listen closely to a truth often overlooked in our hyper-connected world. What is seen too often inevitably loses its weight. What is always available begins over time to feel ordinary, even common. And in a world absolutely obsessed with constant presence, with being always on, the person who truly understands and applies deliberate absence becomes profoundly unforgettable. Scarcity, when applied with a clear Stoic intention, is not a mere tactic to appear aloof or uninterested. It is a deliberate, potent form of discipline. It quietly but firmly asserts, my time, my presence, my undivided attention. These are not given freely. They are earned, and they are meticulously measured. Most people, caught in the current of social compulsion, give themselves away without a second thought. They respond to every message, feel obligated to show up to every gathering, fill every moment of silence with their voice, not because it's truly needed, but because they harbor a deep-seated fear of being forgotten, of being irrelevant. They mistakenly confuse constant presence with genuine influence, but what they inadvertently create, my friend, is stark predictability. And in the Stoic view, what is predictable becomes ultimately powerless. You don't need to be everywhere, responding to everything, to be deeply remembered. In fact, paradoxically, the less they see you, the more they begin to viscerally notice your absence. And absence, when chosen wisely with clear purpose, becomes louder and more impactful than any desperate attempt at visibility. It forces others to wonder, to think, to actively ask questions they would never bother to ask if you were simply always around, always available. That profound mystery becomes your undeniable advantage. The less information you consciously provide, the more others project profound value onto you, not because you brazenly claimed it, but simply because you withheld just enough to compel them to fill in the precious gaps themselves. This powerful principle works because human nature, when untrained by reason and self-discipline, instinctively chases what appears limited, what seems scarce. When you become exquisitely selective with your precious energy, when you stop feeling the need to explain every decision or respond to every casual invitation, you signal something subtle yet incredibly powerful. That your life is genuinely governed by profound priorities, not by external demands or fleeting whims. Take the striking example of a person who speaks rarely in meetings, while others frantically rush to contribute and be seen. Eager for recognition, he patiently waits. He intently listens, and when he finally deliberately speaks, the entire room quiets, almost reverently. Not because he loudly demanded attention, but because he earned it, profoundly, through his disciplined silence and impeccable timing. His presence feels weighted, substantial, not scattered or desperate, and his opinion feels valuable, incisive, not repetitive or superfluous. That, my friend, is the undeniable effect of scarcity. It's not about absence for the sake of mere mystery. It's about aligning your presence, consciously and with profound intention, with your highest purpose. The great Stoic Epictetus reminds us, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Why? Because it means you've consciously stopped trying to be seen and validated by everyone. You've bravely withdrawn from the desperate need for constant external approval. And that withdrawal, when executed with absolute clarity and conviction, makes your deliberate presence sacred. Scarcity also serves as a powerful teacher, subtly instructing others how they should treat you. If your time and attention are always abundantly available, people will, unfortunately, treat them as if they're worth nothing. They'll casually cancel, carelessly delay, frequently overstep boundaries, simply because you've inadvertently taught them there's no real cost involved. But when you establish clear, firm limits, when you consciously pause before immediately replying, when you meticulously reserve your precious energy for what genuinely matters, people quickly adapt. They come prepared. They listen more closely. They measure their words with greater care because they instinctively know yours are not given lightly. This principle extends even to casual conversation. A person who speaks with profound restraint forces others to lean in, both literally and figuratively. His words are not forgotten because they are never wasted. He transforms into someone whose silence carries deep meaning and whose speech carries immense weight. That, my friend, is scarcity in elegant motion. It's a kind of presence that communicates more through what is deliberately withheld than through what is overtly expressed. Consider this. Elite circles, exclusive communities, and powerful networks are often built on this very principle. Not everyone is allowed in. Not everything is explicitly explained. The rules are often unspoken, understood implicitly. The doors are guarded, deliberately restrictive, and the profound silence surrounding them speaks volumes, far louder than any advertisement ever could. It's not about arrogance, it's about meticulously preserving the intrinsic value of what is rare. Apply this principle to your own precious life. Consciously pull back from the incessant noise. You don't need to post every thought, every meal, every fleeting emotion. You don't need to be reachable at all hours of the day and night. You don't owe anyone an explanation for why you sometimes disappear. Just disappear, my friend, and let your profound silence do the speaking. Then reappear when it truly matters, and let your presence feel like a significant event, not a predictable routine. This isn't about playing manipulative games. It's about rigorously training others to perceive you as someone whose time is sacred, whose focus is unwavering and not scattered, and whose attention is not for sale. When people observe that you move on your own internal schedule, that you are not begging to be included in every little thing, they begin to genuinely respect the unseen force that drives you. They stop assuming automatic access and start realizing they must earn it. And most importantly, you begin to profoundly protect your own invaluable energy. You stop frantically running toward every fleeting opportunity to be seen and start walking with deliberate intention toward only what truly aligns with your highest standards and deepest purpose. You don't dilute your potent presence, you meticulously refine it. Let others rush to be everywhere. Let them exhaust themselves chasing constant attention. You, my friend, stay silent, stay measured. And when you choose to move, move with absolute clarity, because in a world overflowing with noise and overexposure, the person who becomes rare inevitably becomes revered. Let this profound lesson remind you, you don't need to be seen by everyone. You need only to be remembered deeply by the right ones. 5. Lead quietly through reflection, the echo of understanding. There's a subtle, almost invisible kind of strength that doesn't shout or confront. It doesn't demand authority or aggressively impose control. Instead, it moves like water. Subtle, patient, and exquisitely precise. This, my friend, is the profound strength of mirroring. A Stoic understands that true influence doesn't always come from overt force or compelling arguments. Sometimes the most effective way to lead is to simply reflect what's genuinely in front of you, to gently guide the interaction, allowing the other person to feel, deep down, that the idea, the conclusion, the entire direction was their own all along. People instinctively trust what feels familiar. When they sense that you speak like them, move with a similar rhythm, even pause where they would naturally pause, something powerful disarms inside them. They stop resisting. They feel truly seen, truly heard. And once someone feels profoundly understood, you've crossed a threshold no amount of logical argument or forceful persuasion could ever open. The Stoic doesn't need to win every debate. He wins minds, profoundly, by making others feel inherently safe and valued in his presence. And mirroring, not mere mimicry, but a calibrated, empathetic alignment, is the key to creating that deep sense of safety. It begins, as all Stoic mastery does, with meticulous observation. You consciously notice how someone sits, the unique way they phrase their thoughts, how fast or slow their speech is, where their energy naturally resides, high and animated or low and contemplative. Then you gently, subtly match it. Not like a puppet mechanically copying, not like a superficial game, but with a deliberate, genuine presence, just enough for them to think, almost unconsciously, this person truly understands me. And that moment of recognition, though it may seem small on the surface, opens vast doors that brute force would slam shut with a resounding finality. Everyone, without exception, yearns to be understood. Not everyone admits it, but it's a universal truth of the human condition. And if you enter a conversation with too much difference, too quickly, too intense, too polished, too fast, they will instinctively put up walls. Their defenses will rise. But if you meet them precisely where they are, in their natural rhythm, their authentic tone, their subtle body language, they soften. Their guard drops. They relax into the moment, into the connection. And in that stillness, that shared space, you find your profound opening. From here, something almost invisible yet incredibly powerful begins to unfold. They subtly begin to follow your lead. Not because you aggressively push them, but because you've masterfully created a deep sense of alignment. Influence, after all, is not about coercive control. It is about seamless movement, and when someone feels emotionally safe and truly aligned with you, they will, by their very nature, move with you. That's the beautiful power of mirroring. It builds deep rapport without demand. It cultivates profound trust without pressure. You haven't forcefully taken control, they've willingly, almost unconsciously handed it to you. This principle is especially powerful in the subtle, intricate power games of life. The Stoic knows that true dominance doesn't come from raising one's voice or aggressively taking up physical space. It comes from gently guiding the very tone and direction of a conversation without the other person even consciously noticing. You subtly shift the rhythm. You deliberately slow your speech. You ask one thoughtful, incisive question, and if they follow, in their speech, in their posture, in their tone, you know you're in position. If they don't, you adjust, you wait, you remain profoundly present. This isn't performance, it's strategy, exquisitely wrapped in stillness. Even in moments of conflict, mirroring becomes your quiet, impenetrable shield. When someone approaches you heatedly, reactive, bristling, ready to argue, you meet their initial intensity for just a brief moment. Not to fight, but simply to acknowledge their state. And then, like a Stoic navigating a tempest, you consciously lower your energy. You slow your voice. You create a deep well of calm within yourself first. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, they follow. Not because they lost the argument, but because you offered them something far steadier, far calmer to match. This, my friend, is how you de-escalate a volatile situation without ever drawing a weapon. You lead them out of their own destructive fire by stepping in just long enough to show them a more peaceful way. The same profound principle holds true in the art of persuasion. You can possess the most logical, impeccably reasoned argument in the world, but if you're fundamentally out of sync with the person in front of you, they simply won't hear you. Your carefully chosen words will bounce off their emotional armor. But when you first genuinely reflect their tempo, their specific concerns, their unique worldview, even briefly, their guard drops, their defenses soften. And that, my friend, is the precise moment when your words can truly enter, truly resonate. Stoic influence works not through raw emotional appeal, but through the profound power of presence. The grounded person speaks less to be heard and more to be deeply felt. Once mirroring has established that sacred trust, you begin to gently steer. You change the pace, You subtly shift topics. You adjust the overall tone. You become like a masterful conductor, subtly shaping the rhythm and melody of the entire conversation. They might leave thinking it was just a great talk, but you've masterfully orchestrated the entire flow from the very first word. This is not manipulation in a negative sense. It is a deeply moral strategy. You are not leading people for selfish personal gain. You are leading them because clarity, profound calm, and genuine connection are infinitely more effective, more human than aggressive argument, overwhelming volume, or blinding pride. And here's the deeper truth, one that resonates long after the words are forgotten. People remember how they felt with you far more vividly than what you said. Mirroring isn't about being merely liked, it's about being profoundly aligned. And when someone feels deeply aligned with you, they trust you, implicitly, even if they don't fully articulate or understand why. That's when influence becomes effortless, almost magical. You don't have to convince. You don't have to argue. You simply stand in quiet, unshakable authority, and they naturally walk beside you, without resistance, drawn by an unseen force. The Stoic doesn't need the spotlight. He shapes the moment without overtly claiming it. He understands that genuine guidance doesn't always come with titles or brute control. Sometimes it begins with silence, with profound presence, with the subtle ability to mirror calmly and then to lead gently. In doing so, he becomes the still point in the chaos, the quiet eye of the storm, the one others instinctively lean toward, without even consciously knowing why. So, the next time you enter a conversation, don't rush to be heard, to make your mark. Watch closely. Listen deeply. Reflect their energy. Guide them subtly. And remember, my friend, when you master the inherent rhythm of others, you begin to shape the flow of absolutely everything around you. From this profound vantage point, the next level of influence becomes effortlessly possible. You're not chasing control. You're simply walking it into the open palm of your hand. 6. Walk away with clarity, the ultimate act of sovereignty. My friend, in the vast tapestry of power, it's not always found in fervent action. Sometimes it resides undeniably in absence. A Stoic truly understands that strength isn't just about knowing when to speak or when to strike decisively. It is, perhaps most profoundly, about knowing precisely when to leave. The most formidable presence in any room, in any relationship, in any negotiation is the one that simply does need to stay. This individual is unattached, undisturbed by external outcomes, and utterly unmoved by the fleeting allure of compromise. He isn't there to desperately prove himself. He's there on principle. And when that sacred principle is violated, he doesn't engage in futile arguments. He simply serenely exits. Those people, trapped by fear, cling desperately to relationships, to positions, to conversations, even to painful conflicts, long after all inherent value has vanished. Not because they genuinely believe in the situation, but because they harbor a deep-seated terror of losing it, of being alone, of missing out. And that pervasive fear keeps them locked in debilitating cycles of endless compromise, tragically mistaking prolonged suffering for unwavering loyalty. They endure what they should walk away from. They tolerate what they would never in their right mind advise their closest friends to accept. That, my friend, is not true resilience. That's quiet desperation, meticulously dressed up as patience. But the person with a clear plan, the individual who has diligently trained their mind and unequivocally clarified their intrinsic values, he knows the liberating power of walking away. He doesn't create a scene. He doesn't dramatically burn bridges in a display of childish rage. He simply removes himself, calmly, with such profound clarity that the silence left behind speaks volumes, far louder and more powerfully than any desperate argument ever could. His absence immediately creates undeniable pressure. His deliberate withdrawal forces a profound reflection on the part of those he leaves behind. It leaves others questioning their position, their choices, not his. This isn't about being cold or uncaring. It's about being absolutely, unequivocally clear. You have, in your solitude, already established your fundamental terms. With crystal clarity, what aligns with your desired direction and what unequivocally does not. So when something fundamentally violates that clear boundary, you don't plead and you don't offer endless explanations. You simply, gracefully depart. That, my friend, is the highest form of discipline. To leave not from a place of raw, impulsive emotion, but from a place of pure, rational reason. Whether it's a conversation that is turned undeniably fruitless, a deal that is clearly wasting your invaluable time, or a connection that relentlessly drains your inner peace, you don't frantically try to fix everything. You assess, you decide, you exit, not out of bitterness or resentment, but out of profound, unyielding self-respect. You have already diligently done the inner work of deciding what you will and will not accept into your life. And because of that profound internal clarity, you never, ever feel trapped. You ever feel trapped. This clarity makes you, paradoxically, unpredictable. Not erratic or impulsive, but gloriously unconstrained by external pressures. People can sense, almost telepathically, when you truly don't need them. And in that very moment, everything profoundly shifts. In business, your terms become stronger, more respected. In relationships, your deliberate presence commands an inherent, unspoken reverence. In every social setting, you move with a quiet, undeniable authority. Why? Because you are not ruled by the paralyzing fear of exclusion. You've meticulously built your life in such a way that no external attachment, no fleeting validation controls your precious inner state. Even in argument, the truly wise person knows that sometimes the most powerful response is profound silence, immediately followed by dignified departure. Let them raise their voice until they are hoarse. Let them spin their elaborate, self-serving stories. You simply walk away and let the sudden emptiness you create do all the speaking. And later, when they replay the moment in their minds, wondering why you didn't stay and fight, that resonant silence becomes your indelible echo. That deliberate absence becomes your unforgettable imprint. Walking away, my friend, isn't weakness. It's a powerful act of protection. It protects your precious future. It safeguards your time, your clarity, your vital energy. It shields you from the insidious grip of bitterness and resentment because you had the wisdom and the courage to leave before you were utterly drained. You turn the page when the story no longer served your highest growth. And that, more than anything else, is what people truly notice, even if they never openly admit it. They instinctively recognize the person who isn't desperate, who doesn't cling, who isn't afraid to walk away. And when they know, deep down, that you possess the sovereign ability to leave, they begin, almost reverently, to treat your presence with the profound respect it deserves. That, my friend, is the quiet, undeniable power of the exit. And from that sacred stillness, you move forward, prepared, unburdened for whatever comes next. The indelible mark of the quiet giant. My dear friend, listen closely to these final echoes of truth. You were never, ever meant to be loud, to be frantic, to chase attention like a moth to a destructive flame. No. You were born for a profound stillness, to embody meticulous precision, to be the unwavering calm in every raging storm, the formidable force no one perceives, no one anticipates, until, in the grand unfolding of your journey, it is far, far too late to even contemplate resistance. The 6 Stoic principles, these bedrock truths we've explored today, they are not mere hacks. They are not ephemeral trends. They are timeless disciplines, principles, carved in stone, designed for those who are utterly finished with living life by capricious impulse and unequivocally ready to live by profound, unwavering intention. End of. For let me tell you this, a truth that echoes through the ages. The loudest voice in any room is, more often than not, the weakest. The one who desperately seeks to control is, paradoxically, the one most profoundly out of control, and the one who steadfastly plays the long game, quietly, relentlessly, with unyielding determination. It wins. Every single time. You don't need to convince a single soul. You don't need to exhaust yourself defending your worth. You don't need to raise your voice to be heard. All you truly need is absolute command over your own mind. That, my friend, is where genuine power truly lives. Not in fleeting domination, but in unshakable discipline. Not in transient performance, but in enduring presence. So, here's your ultimate challenge, not to ascend by shouting louder than the rest, but by mastering the profound depths of silence. Not to outshine anyone in the dazzling temporary glow, but to outlast everyone. Enduring, evolving, ascending. This isn't mere motivation. This isn't fleeting hype. This is your code now, your infallible inner compass, a profound way of life for the select few who choose to walk the quiet path, and who, by their very being, rule without ever needing the gilded trappings of a crown. Because the strongest do not explain, they execute. If this message, these ancient truths, stirred something profound within you, if it rekindled the flame of power you've always possessed but perhaps rarely dared to truly wield, then indeed it is time. Time to move differently. Time to act with strategic intent. Time to cease merely being seen and begin to be undeniably, profoundly felt. For you are not here to simply impress. You are here to impact. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Thank you for listening to The Chill Stoic. If this episode ignited a new fire within your spirit, please share it. Send it to someone who talks too much but listens far too little. And if you haven't already, take a moment to subscribe to the podcast. Your support helps us continue to bring these timeless lessons to light. And in the comments below, share with me, which of these 6 profound Stoic insights are you committed to mastering, starting today? This profound journey is not for the faint of heart. This is for the few who walk quietly, yet whose footsteps echo forever